Hello everyone and welcome to a really awesome game. It's from round 3 of yesterday's Paris Rapid and Blitz, a game between Teymur, Rajabov and Alireza Firouzja, and it features again a very nice idea involving the e5 square, as you might have imagined. Or rather, I don't know why you would imagine that since I still haven't mentioned it, but we will get to that. So Rajabov with the white pieces opens with d4. We have knight to f6, c4, e6, knight to f3, and d5 now. So again, nothing out of the ordinary, just a queen's gambit declined on the board. Knight to c3 and now c6. Going for the semi-Slav defense, we have bishop to g5 and h6. Now asking, do you want to go back or do you want to trade on f6? Here Rajabov captures, we have queen captures on f6 and now e3. So just nicely continuing development. Knight to d7 and now rook to c1. We have g6 and now bishop to d3. And the position has been reached before. Known moves here are d captures on c4, bishop to g7. But here Alireza plays a new move. He plays queen to e7. So already as of move 9, we have a completely new game. And the queen is a bit better suited on e7, since after bishop g7, you want your bishop on this diagonal, not the queen blocking the bishop. So here we have just castles by Rajabov and now bishop to g7. We have queen to c2 and now black castles. We have rook f to d1, completing development, and now d captures on c4, bishop captures and c5. And here black was able to execute c5. He's saying, okay, if I'm able to play c captures on d4, then surely white cannot claim any opening advantage. So Rajabov decides to push the pawn. He plays d5. And now, while you could capture this pawn after pawn captures, knight captures, it's a really bad position for black. You don't really have all that much to do with the queen. You can go back, then knight to f4, and it's a really ugly position for black. So instead, after d5, we have knight to b6, now with more pressure on the d5 pawn, and now b3, simply defending the bishop here. We have knight captures, b captures, and b6 now. Now the light square bishop can also enter the game. We have e4, Rajabov strengthens the center here, and now e captures on d5. And now here's another very nice moment. You could capture with the c pawn and create a pass pawn. You could capture with the e pawn and create a pass pawn. But Teymur grabs with the knight. The problem is if you go c captures, then while this is playable, maybe it's maybe it's a bit easy for black to continue development. Let's say bishop to g4, and then you simply get the rooks into the game. Or if you play e captures on d5 instead, then you even allow bishop to f5, which is a perfect developing square for the dark square bishop. So instead, after e captures on d5, knight captures on d5 with an attack on the queen on e7, queen to b7, and now h3, preventing bishop to g4. So now you can't go here, you can't go here, so you will go here. So bishop to e6 by Firouzja, and now rook to d2. Now we're gonna double up rooks on the d file. We have rook f to e8, preparing to bring the other rook over to d8, rook c to d1, and now rook a to d8. And black also completed his development. We have queen to a4 now. With ideas that maybe if this knight moves, you will not be able to capture here because then the rook will be hanging. So it's a very active position for the white queen. So bishop to d7, Firouzja kicks the queen back to c2, and now bishop to c6. Now the bishop will be a little bit more active on this diagonal, perhaps, if this knight ever decides to move, because now if this is ever captured, then you will get a very strong pass pawn. So here, knight to h2, time to get the other knight into the game as well. King to h8, and now knight to g4. We have h5 trying to bait this, but this would actually be a pretty big mistake. If Rajabov goes for this, then he attacks the rook, rook e6, and the knight is lost. The knight has no squares where it can retreat to, as the h5 pawn covers the g4 square. So instead, after h5, we have knight back to h2. Now the knight will have to find its way back into the game via the f3 square, and now rook to d7. Now we can also double up on the d file. We have knight to f3, and now queen to a6. A very tricky move by Firouzja. If Rajabov is not careful and plays something weird, let's say like king h2, then bishop to a4 just wins the exchange. So you have to be careful. So here we have rook to b1, sidestepping this threat. We have queen to a4. If queen to a4, and now rook to b3. And now after rook to b3, if you try to repeat this, for example, with queen to a6, and then maybe you try to win material this way, then you can just play rook b to d3. And now your rook came from d1 to d3, which is super impressive. And you don't have to worry about any bishop to a4 idea. So of course, Firouzja abandons this idea altogether. He plays bishop to b7, and now comes a move that I thought was really incredible, and basically why I decided to show this game here. Rajabov played e5, and Rajabov has been great at spotting this e5 square ideas for a very long time. He basically owns the e5 square ever since March 5th, 2009, if you know what I mean. And it's just a very incredible move. Now Alireza has to deal with this somehow, but how do you do this? The problem is, if the pawn is captured, let's say knight captures, rook captures, then we get queen to b2, and you lose the game. There's no way to defend here. Your only move is f6, then we're just gonna eliminate this, and again, you can't move the knight because then there are you can't move the rook because then we have some very nasty discoveries. And if you double up here, then we can just play rook to e3, and again, there's no playing this. If you move this, then you allow this king to be exposed, so we're just gonna play rook to d8 check, king to g7, now a nice double check from the queen and the knight, and after something like this, we're gonna deliver check, king g5, and let's say queen to f6 with checkmate. So these are the ideas that could become a reality if Alireza is not careful. So after e5, capturing an e5 is not possible. However, it is, and this is where Alireza missed it. He has to capture an e5, but not right away. He first eliminates the knight, as you've seen in this line. After bishop captures an e5, if you missed it for some reason, after queen b2, we have to play f6, but f6 is impossible because of the knight here. So then we go back and we say, okay, so what if the knight wasn't there? We capture the knight, and then the idea works. We just capture here, and then after knight captures rook captures queen b2, we can play f6, and we're doing fine. There's nothing to worry about here. It's still a very tricky position, but black is up a pawn and black is better. And even if you don't like this position, it's definitely the best you can get from that position where Rajabov pushed e5. But Alireza played a different idea. Here Alireza played bishop to a6, now putting pressure on this c4 pawn. But this is not enough. And here Rajabov goes for it, knight to f6. Now with an attack on both rooks, so you have to capture on d2. So rook captures on d2, queen captures, and then now comes rook to f8. You have to keep an eye on the rook. The knight controls now g8 and e8. And now comes a move that, well, it's not easy to spot. There are a couple of good moves here, but one is simply devastating. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find this incredible idea Rajabov played while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding either knight to h4 or queen to g5. Those are all great moves, but the move that absolutely destroys black is rook to d3. So congratulations to everyone who found this. Rajabov found it, and now there really isn't anything black can do. Rook is coming to d8, and it's incredible, but there is nothing Alireza can do here. To give you an example, if you try and eliminate one of the attackers, just queen h6 check, king here, e captures on f6, and you're getting checkmated. So we are definitely not touching this knight on f6. It has to remain there, and you don't really have all that many other moves. For example, if queen captures on c4, we just go rook to d8, and what do you play now? If you capture, just queen captures here, so you could bring the queen back to help out with the defense, but then knight to g5 now attacks the queen, and after queen e7, there is the incredible queen to d6, and black resigns. It's been a while since I've seen a position this incredible. This is just so great. There's nothing you can do here. The problem is, if queen captures, then knight captures on f7 with checkmate. This is simply disgusting, and I'm even going to use this for the thumbnail. This is so incredible that it's It never happened in the game, but like we always say, the most beautiful parts of a chess game never actually happen on the board. And even if you try removing again one of the defenders, now we just play rook captures on f8. And now again, there's nothing to be done here. Once the king goes here, we're just gonna play rook captures on f7, and this is how we again win the queen. Queen captures, knight captures, and there's no playing this. So really incredible stuff. So after this rook to d3, Alireza played bishop captures on c4. Now the queen will be able to go back via the c6 square, but it's still not enough. Rook to d8, and here it's just completely lost for Alireza. Queen to c6 was played. We have rook captures on f8 with check bishop captures, and now queen to d8, threatening the bishop. So king to g7, defending the only square, and now comes knight to d7. And now both the queen and the knight are attacking the f8 and the f6 square, and there's not that arrow, and there's nothing for black to do here. You can't move the bishop because, well, there's just nowhere for it to go. So bishop to d6 was played. You don't have anything better, and now queen to f6 with check. King to g8, and now the simplest way, queen captures on d6, just wins the piece, and that's it. Alireza traded queens here and grabbed this pawn. Now you do have 3 connected pass pawns here, so maybe you can still fight, but Rajabov plays it incredibly accurately. He plays knight captures on b6, and now of course if the pawn is captured, we just promote this pawn. So Alireza can't do this. He has to go be active with the king, but now we just deliver check and pick up the other pawn as well. So from 3 connected pass pawns, we reach a position where there are almost no pass pawns. So king to e8, knight captures here. To make matters worse, your king does not have a square here. Your pawn and knight cover everything. We have a5, and now knight to d4. The other knight now joins the action. Bishop to d5, we have f3, g5, and now king to f2. So black without a single idea. King to d8, and now king to e3. We have h4, king to d3, and it was in this position on move 48 that Alireza Firouzja resigned the game, and this incredible victory was achieved by Teymur Rajabov after again utilizing the e5 square. So incredible stuff, and it's even more incredible that Alireza did not take on e5 after e5 just takes and then takes, but even Alireza can miscalculate, it would seem, and this is all Teymur needed to grab that little edge and then just claw his way to this incredible victory. But yeah, even all those lines that never actually happened on the board were super impressive, so I thought you might enjoy them as well. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. After 3 rounds of the Rapid, the leaders are Nepo, Aronian, Wesley So, and Peter Svidler. So we're going to see what happens after day 2. There's going to be 3 days of Rapid and 2 days of Blitz, like I said. And do join us today. We're going to have a nice celebratory birthday arena today at 8 p.m. Central European Time. The link is in the description below. And the prize fund has been increased somewhat as some of you guys decided to contribute to increase the prize fund. So thank you for that. It's going to be even more legendary. So yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Ben Blackburn, Purna, Sujay, Cherukuri, Abhinav, Vishak, Iyappan, Atul Jingara, and Michael Castagno for contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your weekend.